I don't know that they're overlooked, but they're really good. And would it shock me to see them in the World Series? No, it would not.
Homage, Inside Scoop Time with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, great work reporting on and writing on the Vladdy Jr. story, which I feel like you've been covering for months now. So what's the aftermath? What are you hearing and what are you seeing?
I don't know that there's much of an aftermath other than the obvious, guys. And it's that the Jays had to get this done. They got it done. And for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he doesn't have to worry about what the first base market might look like in free agency. Now, even though he is a younger guy entering his age 27 season next year, which will be the first year of this contract, based on what happened to Pete Alonso, based on what's happened with Freddie Freeman, even Matt Olson, in recent years, that market has cratered. And this kind of, in my mind, reestablishes first baseman as valuable in a different way. Now, a lot of this has to do with his age. A lot of his appeal has to do with his age, aside from his, of course, fantastic hitting ability, his ability to control the zone, all of that. But I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with Pete Alonso now. I don't know that much is going to change for Pete Alonso, but at the same time, the mere fact that this number was put up there for a first baseman, maybe we can stop acting like these guys all have cooties, okay?
That's great.
I never thought I'd. You got me. Ken said cooties. I believe you. If somebody has cooties, Ken will definitely write about their cooties. So I'm waiting for that article. What about Kyle Tucker? To me, you were talking about Pete Alonso and the first base market, reestablishing that, whether that's going to affect it. Kyle Tucker's only 2 years older, and he's becoming a free agent. Is this good or bad for Ricketts and the Cubs?
Bad for the Cubs, great for Kyle Tucker. And the reason I say it's bad for the Cubs is it's reasonable to think now that Kyle Tucker, who is a superior all-around player to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I don't know that anyone would question that, is going to get probably an AAV starting with a 40 million or above. And while his deal likely will be shorter because he's older than Vlad by 2 years, as you said, as I wrote the other day, what if it's 12 years times 42? That's 504. That's the kind of deal he could be looking at minimum in free agency. I would expect that he's going to do really well. And each contract in free agency or even in an extension form like this one is, it enables players to build on. And that's what happened with Guerrero Jr. He wasn't getting $500 million until Juan Soto got $765. And that's how free agency has worked forever. That is how the players want it to work. And you cannot ignore what goes on in the market, either through extensions or free agency, when you have another player coming into that situation. Now, here's Kyle Tucker. The Cubs are going to have to deal with this one way or the other, and my guess is they're not going to be at the level that other teams will be for Tucker.
Hey, Ken, listen, I know Kyle Tucker is going to be on the phone like Jerry Maguire with his representatives. Show me the money! I want to talk about a guy that nobody's asking about. What does this mean for Bo Bichette now that this deal is done? Where are, this can't be the end all to be all if you're a Blue Jays fan. I know they're happy they finally got their guy, but there's still work to be done. And when you look at an offense that's starting to be somewhat on the decline, certain guys in that lineup, what does this mean for Bo?
Cam, great question. And the reason it's a great question is because this move signals clearly that the Jays intend to compete. Now, they've never indicated anything otherwise. And in fact, they competed this year, or decided to compete this year, even with Bichette and Guerrero going into their walk years. It was a strategy that I thought was kind of ill-conceived because to me, you could have traded those guys, retooled on the fly. But look, they got their man now in Guerrero. And why wouldn't they go for Bo Bichette as well? Now, the relationship between the player and team might be different. Clearly, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was special to the Blue Jays because he was born in Canada, because he was homegrown, as was Bichette, of course. And it was a little bit different with him. But at the same time, if you want to build around two guys, those are two pretty good guys to build around, and Bo Bichette is a shortstop. And the other thing with Bichette that's interesting to me, you look around the league, guys, there aren't many teams that figure to have openings at shortstop. Now, sometimes teams will create openings to get a better player. Sometimes a player like Bo Bichette could change positions like we thought Alex Bregman might in free agency. But that could influence him as he looks at the market, if the Jays came at him with a big extension right now, in my mind, he'd have to look at it. But there's been no indication that that is taking place. It's going to be really interesting to see where the Jays go from here. Because if you look at it, Vlad's locked up, Santander for a few years, Andres Jimenez for a few years. Their pitching is getting a little bit older, but Barrios is still there. They still have a nice core here to build around. Their farm system isn't very good. So it seems to me they're going to have to continue spending to be the team that they want to be.
You may not know this, or you may. Do they believe that Bo Bichette is that cornerstone guy? Because that's kind of where I'm kind of led to believe is like, well, do they actually think he's their guy along with Vladdy, or is there somebody else out there they might think that's the guy we're eyeing? I don't know if you know. I'm just curious.
I don't know, but certainly in their approach to negotiations, we have not heard much about a Bichette extension. We just haven't. And I don't know that there's been much talk about a Bichette extension. So that would lead me to believe, Cam, that they don't see it maybe the way others might see it. Now, perhaps the reason they haven't focused on Bichette is because they've been so focused on Guerrero Jr. That would make sense. Again, we'll find out exactly how much they value the player. This is what happens, right? For a while there, I wasn't so certain they valued Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the way they should have. I'm still not sure everyone in their front office values him in that way. I would imagine there was somewhat of a mixed camp about doing this. But Bichette is a separate case entirely. They'll have to look at him differently. They have some internal options that they can do to account for his loss. They can move Jimenez to shortstop, back to shortstop. But I don't know that they want to do that. You are a stronger team with Bichette at short, Jimenez at second.
Are the Phillies overlooked? You were there this weekend. You didn't call me to have coffee, or I don't drink coffee, or like a steak or like a chicken burger or something, but you were in Philly and watched this team through some weather playing the favorites to win the World Series again. Are they overlooked as a team?
I don't know that they're overlooked, Eric, and I apologize for not calling you, by the way. But at the same time, we talk so much about the Dodgers, so much about the Mets, and rightly so. The Dodgers did some incredible things again this offseason. The Mets, they signed Juan Soto. But the Phillies still have a consistent, strong core. And it's a group that's getting older, admittedly. But at the same time, they're really good. There's no question they're really good. And what is really interesting about them right now is that if Jesus Luzardo is as good as he has shown early and can stay healthy, then a rotation we already thought was really good is that much better, and it becomes a really intriguing thought for October. Could they run through October behind Wheeler and Nola and Christopher Sanchez and of course Luzardo, and then maybe Ranger Suarez? The Phillies will have an interesting mix if, again, most of those pitchers are healthy. And offensively, they've been a little bit better this year, at least compared to at times last year. Less chase, doing some things maybe a little bit differently. So I don't know that they're overlooked, but they're really good. And would it shock me to see them in the World Series? No, it would not.
That's what this team's built for. But let's go across the other side of the state where I'm not at. So if you ever go to a Pirates game, you probably won't because Fox doesn't do Pirates games. But anyway, if you go over there, do you feel like the Pirates ownership, sales department, whoever takes the blame for selling a sign that covers up the Clemente sign, do you feel like it was actually an oversight like they said, or do you feel like it was something that was an opportunity for a money grab?
Maybe everything that you just said. And yes, they clearly wanted to sell that portion of the outfield fence. And obviously it was an oversight that they didn't account for the fact that that was the spot they reserved for Roberto Clemente. Now, some fans pointed out in the aftermath of this, well, they corrected it, and they did. What I would like to know is how this even happened in the first place, because when you take down that tribute to Clemente and you put up an ad, clearly someone knows that ad is going in the place where we were honoring Roberto. And no one said, what are we doing here? No one paused. No one kind of raised a red flag. That would be my concern there. And we all make mistakes. I get it. And things happen. And they did correct it. But it just speaks to an organization that on and off the field cannot seem to get out of its own way.
Hey, I want to hop to the San Francisco Giants. Ken, we haven't spoken about them in a moment. What do you think of their hot start? We know it's very, very early on. They got shut down by Hunter Green yesterday, but already you can cue the Buster Posey effect, which I talked yesterday about the possibility of that making a difference even with the on-field product, despite it not having that many player differences from last year. But what do you think from what you've seen so far?
I spoke about this on Fair Territory yesterday a little bit, and it's going to be a really easy narrative for us to say, Farhan Zaidi's gone, Buster Posey's here, the players feel liberated, it's back to baseball, and to some degree, that is true. I do expect that even the players would acknowledge, yeah, it's a different vibe in the organization right now, a different culture, and in their minds, a better culture. It's not all of it. Willy Adames, even though he's not hitting yet, is part of this, right? Jung-Hoo Lee, who barely played last year, is part of this. Matt Chapman being there in his second year with the Giants, a fixture, off to a good start, that's a part. Justin Verlander, even though he has not pitched particularly well so far, that's part of it. Robbie Ray adding a changeup. All of these things are happening besides the changeover from Zaidi to Posey. Now, Posey did, of course, play an instrumental role in signing Adames, so he gets credit for that. But I want to see it play out more. They have been quite interesting so far. I like their rotation. The back end of their bullpen looks like it's going to be pretty good, Doval and Walker. So it's intriguing to see where they are right now. But yes, we do need to see more.
Ken, thank you for the time. We'll catch you on Thursday on Fair Territory.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. That is your Homage Inside Scoop. You can visit homage.com/foul territory to get hooked up with one of those starter jackets. If you don't see your favorite team on the screen, guess what? Your favorite team, if it's one of the 30, is on there. So get after it, FT fam. You can use the code foul territory for 20% off for all first-time Homage shoppers when you use that code.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.